Okay, an update. So we tried cellulose, and this seems to work, so I might just put that over the top and we zoom in on stuff here. Not the best. Then we tried sphagnum, a bit better. Then we tried urea formaldehyde floral foam, and a little bit better. And now yesterday I tried coir, which seems to be even better. So it seems like it's the increasing amount of phenolic content in the medium. So as we said, you know, cellulose, or the wood is made of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, and lignin is very phenolic-y. So you can see that's like increase in phenolic is like an increase in lignin. And we said that, you know, the lignin content of peat, sphagnum peat, is proportional to its cation and anion exchange capacity, or salt fragment index sort of thing. So you can see, so this was probably the coir revolution. This is in the 90s when everyone rushed out to try and coir and found it wasn't as good as peat because it was quite salty and things like that. So, but there is an association with carnivorous plants and salt, because you go out to the wild and right next to glids you'll see little micro sandfires, little micro ones. They are true sandfires, but they're just little micro ones. So showing that there is some evidence out there. There is an association with salt somehow. And every time you try to put your hand up, you get beaten down really hard, as though they know something and they don't want something to be, you know, they don't want the cat to be let out of the bag sort of thing. But anyway, then I tried some cat food, and that didn't seem, hang on, I'll just put it over here and show you. And I thought, okay, I'll try this again. And I thought, no, it expands up a bit. I don't think that's going to work sort of thing with the cat food here sort of thing. I tried it again sort of thing. I thought, no. Then I thought, what else have I got that may have some phenolics in it sort of thing? And so I went to this thing here. This is Dynamic Lifter. If you can see that, it's upside down the bag. Yeah, this pelletized meat. Now this is made, hang on, I'll get my little hand then so you can see it more clearly. So, am I on the spot culling? Yes, I am. Good. I'm just checking. So this is made out of composted, no, that's not the word I want, chicken carcasses, fermented, that's it, fermented chicken carcasses. So I believe that's an anaerobic process. So in the process, I assume it's making a lot of phenolic compounds. So yeah, so anyway, I tried some. I thought, oh, I'll give it a go, and lo and behold, it's looking pretty good for what it was. You used to talk about you know, dynamic lift could burn your plants, and then you had like people like Don Burke saying it couldn't burn your plants, or like blood and bone and things like that. So anyway, I just go in for. I'm filming this very quickly because I'm in and out of sunlight. Like this morning, it suddenly went overcast, and yeah. So and that's what it looks like from the side. So yeah, that's pretty good, I thought, for a first go. So I'm going to do another one, a full, you know, quarter of a 10-litre bucket. Well, that's less than a quarter. But one of these full milk bottles is 2.4 litres, which is basically a quarter of a 10-litre, 2-gallon bucket. And this is like 1.5 litres usually up to the line anyway. It's 1.5 litres. So basically one of those 3-litre bags of sphagnum would basically only do 2 of these, basically, which is, you know, comfortably will do 2, and about that. So yeah, the prices on sphagnum, so even though it's looking reasonable, sphagnum's out. It's too expensive these days, and coir is a lot cheaper. You can pick it up between $2.50 to $3.50 a brick, and one brick will almost make you about 3/4 of a 10-litre bucket, basically. It used to brim a 10-litre bucket, but the bricks these days don't seem to brim the buckets like they used to. So yeah, things have changed, but Yeah, anyway, so I might want to take you a walk down to the bridge now, because I'll just put this so it doesn't get wet, and put this in and put my thing back on. I might just walk it down to the bridge again, because I found a whole load of liverworts down there, even though they do grow along the creek line. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make one of those up, but with the dynamic lifter. So we can actually start growing CPs in dynamic lifter. That would be absolutely amazing. Yeah. In amongst all this sort of cloudage that's coming in every so often, it'll go overcast, so you've got to take your chances when you can, sort of thing. But I think I might have figured out what the problem is. Okay, let's give you the backstory again, this anecdotal story from the late 80s through the 90s, basically, of my carnivorous plant society. We used to have these annual shows, and at every show, you know, we put up the greenhouse and everything, and of course then we get a supply of plants coming in from interstate, and you know, mainly fly traps, basically, you know, pots and pots of fly traps, and they used to come in, lovely fly traps, you know, at the time, you know, better than anyone else could grow them, sort of thing. But they used to come in absolutely festooned with liverworts, but they also had these little beads in them, you know, up to, I don't know, 3 to 4, you know, half a centimetre sort of size, sort of translucent beads in them or something, you know. Almost looked like they had a hollow core to them or something like that to them. And of course, the people were saying, oh, they're snail eggs, and of course I'd never seen snail eggs before, so I took an interest in the look of them, of course. And then other people will say that osmocotes, and it used to be osmocote snail eggs, osmocote snail eggs, osmocote, don't look at the liverwort, sort of thing. And I think that's what it really was all about, basically. It was all this argument about osmocotes and snail eggs to deter you from having an argument about liverworts, you know, and how hard they are to grow, sort of thing. Well, if you really want to grow them, where you want to grow them, when you want to grow them, and where you want to grow them, they really are quite hard to grow. And I think I might have an idea, an angle on what it is. For some reason, because, you know, mosses, liverworts and ferns, all these like lower order members of the plant kingdom, sort of thing, from prehistoric past that have grown into the present, sort of thing, we have these ideas that because they're lower members of the plant community, they hardly have a root system, rhizoids at best, sort of thing, they must be low nutrient plants, you see. Because, you know, if they weren't low nutrient plants, the root systems would have developed and they'd be growing like, yeah. And then I think about elk horn and staghorn ferns, and when you see some really massive ones, they also have a somewhat, well, not jaded, but almost a glaucous, rather than a greener green, you know, a jade green. They have a bluey green look to some of them. And you think, oh, is that just a waxy coating, or are they truly slightly blue, sort of thing? And anyway, I'm thinking, well, maybe the answer is this. Liverworts are not low nutrient plants. They're like foodies, basically. It's sort of this idea that poor people don't have money, therefore they can't, because they can't buy food because they don't have any money, they can't be foodies, sort of thing. Sort of idea, sort of thing. No, just because they're lower order members of the plant kingdom doesn't mean that they're necessarily low nutrient poor plants, you see. I think that might be the problem. So the test is, well, what if we can start growing liverworts in dynamic lifter, which is a high nutrient amendment, a soil amendment, I suppose, made out of chicken carcasses, which so it's high nitrogen. Well, peat, see, that's the other thing. Most people don't realise that peat is a high nitrogen source. It's just it's a locked up high nitrogen source, a bit like urea formaldehyde foam. It has its nitrogen locked up in the phenolics sort of thing. So, attached to these phenolic rings and things like that. So I'm just thinking this might actually be the answer, and that's why they didn't want you to look at the liverworts, because hang on, if this pot is growing liverworts really well and it's also growing the flytraps really well, and we make the assumption that the liverwort is a high nutrient plant, well then doesn't that imply that the Venus flytraps are also growing really well in this soil is a high nutrient plant? And of course, then we get into this idea that, peatlands are lands, and the peat you could classify as a soil, because it is a land, I suppose, the soil of the land. It's a totally organic medium, as they say. And of course, then you go from peat to lignite to coal sort of thing, and you can have some arguments along the way about that. Is it transforming from organic to somewhat inorganic? Yeah, backfisters, I know you like him. And we've got some of this stuff here. Quickly go to spot culling. Can't waste the time. Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit late in the season now, but early on in the season when that was fresh, you would have got the sunlight coming through. But yeah. We ended up doing other things, so maybe next season, but when that first comes out, it's like honey in a way, and the sunlight comes through it, and it's absolutely magical. A highlight of the season, I suppose. But yeah, it's been another strange season, and it is going to be another strange season. Yeah. Energy prices in Europe are already like 10 times what they normally are already, and they haven't even got to winter yet. And looks like the Russians are about to turn off Nord Stream 1 somewhat permanently. Blokes are having to buy fanny cloths, because now not only do they want them to have shorter showers, they would prefer them to have cold showers. Can you imagine having cold showers when it's minus 20 outside? Just come inside the house and have a brisk cold shower after being outside in minus 20. Yeah, I know. I mean, when are the German people going to wake up, It's time to put some people up against the wall. Sorry, we're doing this for the nation. You're a complete waste of space and time. It's time for you to leave the planet. You've screwed our country up real bad, and it's time to go. Don't worry, if we make a mistake, Jesus will send you back. Yeah. Tell them back as you off them, sort of thing. Okay. Anyway, we're just going to go down here, because I want you to look at the soil and have a look at some of these. And we've got the old magnifying glass, so we might get some nice close-ups, but we're going to go down here very carefully, very gingerly, and it's got some of my favourite plants, the old Rumex there, or Doc, one of these sort of plants that have this sort of buck term. Oh, we've got an echo now. Yeah, the top notes are different. By the way, I know, they sound the same, but they're not. And the first, you want. Yeah, I know. I mean, the first two notes of I want to hold your hand are semitones. So how can you have those two chords? Yeah, I mean, but the connection is K332, Allegro K332. That chord in Allegro K32 when he goes dung dung. Yeah, I mean, that has a semitone sort of top to it. So yeah, there's your connection between I want to hold your hand and Allegro K332. Oh, there's so many connections with Allegro K332. It was probably his best work, I would say. But it's not his most popular work. That's Arne Klein and art music, of course. But There's one whole section of that that's missing. Yeah, we know that from his own little personal workbook. You know, they used to put the first 2 bars in there as though everything was fractal. You know, you can shove these 2 bars into a supercomputer one day in the future, and you can generate the whole complete work, including the missing section. I wonder. I know. Anyway, we've got liverworts all down here because it's sort of oh, look at that. Now that's it's ox tongue, I believe. I believe it's ox tongue. Let's go to spot culling on this. You see though? Now I saw some of these out at like one of those parks out there. I might link, and I got the impression it almost either can hold its position, or it can sometime be able to move or something. Whether it has to be with sunlight on it at the time. But you look at that, I don't know, is that keeping its position or something? And it slowly goes down. So it's almost like it's got gel in it, a bit like a hobo or something like that. It's got some sort of gel in it or something that sort of you can hold it up and it will stay up. Mainly when it's in the sun, I suppose, when we saw it. But go back to the old clip, and we did, and it almost like it moved, sort of thing. So whether it's a part-time sensitive plant, I don't know, but you might want to look into that. I'll try and link the video from years ago where that is, and the time code, or when it occurs, sort of thing. And you just watch out the corner of the camera, and I swear you'll think that the plant, like I did, that the plant actually either moved or it maintained its position after I moved the leaf. Like I pulled the leaf up or something and just stayed there, sort of thing. Anyway, so we got all these liverworts around here, but you notice that the soil tends to grey in certain areas, especially when after the water's been flowing over it for quite a while, you know, a few days, sort of trickling over it, sort of thing. But we'll just go down and, I'm still on spot culling, yeah. We'll go down and we'll find some decent ones and just put try this on it. And they're mainly growing on the edge, and as you can see, it's very slippery. You could very easily lose your self-esteem with one false move. Anyway, so I'm trying that. Fortunately, the sun's not in the position we would like it to be, but yeah, so we've got these, and they're growing like that, sort of thing. And I'm wondering if, because of the way the water comes down here, it's carrying nutrients from the hinterland up there, that actually liverworts are actually high nutrient plants. Yeah, foodies, in other words, sort of thing. And that's the problem. There's sort of an indicator plant telling us that when you go out to those nurseries and you see all these pots festooned with liverworts, they're actually using fertiliser or nutrients in there, but probably in quite a special way, sort of thing. Yeah, so they want to keep the plants healthy and happy, but they don't want them to outgrow the pot, because you'd have to keep repotting them all the time. You want them to stay healthy and happy, and when the customer takes them home and transplants them, maybe there's a deficit with all this healthy happiness that's been in the pot, sort of thing. So, like you know what I mean? They look very nice, but they're not actually outgrowing their pots, so therefore, in a way, they're empty calories in a way. I don't know. Am I getting my drift across? That could be the reason why when you transplant these things, they almost seem to collapse. They almost seem to lose the colour as you're walking away from the shop. They seem like almost fluorescent in the shops. Maybe they are actually inculcating the plants with some sort of fluorescent dye, so they look really nice under the fluorescent lights in the shops. But as soon as you start walking to your car, out in the normal sunlight, they start to lose their lustre, sort of thing. Yes. Anyway, so I might just put it back on the normal so you get the full perspective properly, and we'll just walk around here. I like this. This is my, I sort of cut my teeth over in Western Australia like this, going to boggy places and boggy parts and the back of my parents' place and things like that. Spending, the whole afternoons after school, almost every day after school, and, twice a week, every week of the 4-week holiday, depending on which one we had during we got a duck. There you go. Duck incoming. So, you got a dam there, duck. Time to get out. Yeah, we're slowing the water in the environment, doing the old Peter, I've forgotten his name now, who basically you just slow the water in the landscape, and it spreads out, and you maintain more water in the landscape, and you drought-proof your property basically. And but you don't stop it from going to other people, sort of thing. So you're not hoarding it. It's just you're slowing it down basically, so everyone benefits. You see, oh, hop back in the water when. It's almost like canalism. The duck learns canalism.